Now that we've completed our horizontal geometry, we can create our vertical geometry for our alignment. In order to do this, we need a section. So to create a section view, we just go to View, Create, Section View. By coming down here to Create Section View rather than just going New Section, allows us to give the section view a name. So we click on Section View, and we can now give this a name, and we'll call it LS for long section, and click on Create. Now we're going to tile these views vertically, but we don't want to tile all three views, so we don't need our perspective view. So we can just click on our perspective view and then just minimize this view. And then because we want our plan view on the left hand side, so over here, we click on the plan view and then we go into Windows, Tile Vertical. And you'll see that our plan view comes on the left hand side and our section view on the right hand side. And down the bottom we have our minimized perspective view. Now the first thing we do when we open up any section view is typically to turn on the model with our tin inside of it. So just go to the plus button and turn on tin ground. Now you won't see anything inside of this view yet, but once we profile the string, then you'll see the ground as we travel along this string. In order to see the profile of our alignment, we click on the profile button and then we pick and accept our alignment string. Now be sure to pick the alignment string and not some other point inside the database, and accept it. And you'll see as we travel along through our section view here, you can see exactly where we are in the plan view, and this is the natural surface along that string. So we're going to create our vertical geometry along this string here, but before we do that, we'll just have a look at some of the icons inside of the section view. So most of them we've seen before. We have the menu button, which has all our settings, etc. We have the plus and minus button to turn models on and off. We have this 10 times button, which is actually the toggle button and allows us to toggle the various different exaggerations in the vertical. We can also toggle on our grades and our horizontal and vertical geometry. So down the bottom here you'll see our horizontal geometry. So as we move through this part here, you'll see we have a radius of 200, and as we move through this part here in the plan view, we have a radius of 100. Next to the toggle button we see the profile button, and we've already used this profile button to profile this string, but if you actually right click on it, you'll see you have more options. We profiled one string, but we could have profiled model strings, many strings, model strings. We could have just done between 2 points, perpendicular to a center line, or various other options. The left and right arrow buttons are used when we're clicking through cross sections. We can just go from one section to the next by using the left and right button. The regen button is similar to the redraw button that we find in a plan view, except it's used only in section views to regenerate what we've already seen. The rest of the buttons are the same. We have the zoom all, the pan, the zoom window, the shrink window, the zoom previous, the toggle button, and the redraw button and print or plot button. Before we go any further, if you have a look in plan view number 1, you'll note that we have a lot of information in here, and it's information that we probably don't need at this stage. So we can just go to our minus button, and we want to turn off all of our models except for those relating to the road. So we need the road centerline, we need our existing road, which we're coming on off, so we'll leave on the road crown and the road pavement edge, and we'll just turn off the rest of the models except for the model topo tin boundary. So by leaving the tin boundary on allows us to get an overall view of where we are in our survey. Click on select, and then we can either flick our middle mouse button to zoom in and out, which is a quick way of doing a redraw, or we could just click on the redraw. You'll note that while we're in plan view number 1, down the bottom in our coordinates box, you'll see that we get an X and a Y coordinate. If we go across now into our section view, you'll note this changes to a chainage and a height. This is important because later on when we're entering in chainage and height into our section view, if we have our cursor in the plan view, then we'll actually be entering in an X and Y coordinate rather than a change in height. So be sure to leave your cursor inside the section view when we start entering the change in height.